going to focus a bit on adding a more dynamic reaction to the hit reaction when the player hits a hazard in the world. So for that reason, we're going to go into the player character event graph, and we're going to add some force to sort of have the player character bounce back when it hits a hazard, bounce away from the hazard. So for that, we're going to get a reference to the character movement component. And we're going to add force directly to that. So we'll drag off of this reference, look for add force. There we go. And we need to apply it in some different vectors, a few different axes. So we're going to split this here to x, y, z. And for z, we're going to go with, let's see, go with that. And for x, we'll go with 2 million. These are just some guess variables here. You can try your own variables for what works for your game. So let's see, we want this to happen right after play from start. So I'm going to expand this a little bit so I can fit this in here. Add force. So now in addition to the hit reaction, we should do a little bounce when we hit things. So let's see what that looks like. Okay, we do see a small bounce, but we notice it's only happening in one direction. And actually, I'm going to reduce the size of that hazard a little bit so we can move around it a little better. Just delete these and clone this to make just one little spike in the middle. Okay, let's have another look. So I drop in and I bounce in one direction. So we want to be actually bouncing back away from the direction we're facing when we hit the spikes. You can also see well, that was a pretty big bounce there. You can also see that sometimes the bounce is a little too big, which is a little weird. If I land on it, see if I can land on it. There we go. Yeah, the bounce isn't quite looking how we want it to. So we're going to do a couple things here. First thing we need to do is the force x in this add force function is applying the force only in a positive direction. We want it to apply in a direction opposite to the player facing. So first we're going to make a function that grabs the player facing and then inputs a different force x, positive or negative, based on that result. So let's get started on that. Create a new function over here. We'll just call it getPlayerFacing. And we're going to get the control rotation of the pawn. So target is self by default, that's good. And this return value is a rotator. So let's see, we need to check this result here. Let's split it. No, let's not do that. Let's, okay, we need to check the rotation on the y-axis here. So let's do an equal rotator. And so one of the results is if the y is 0. And I'll just copy paste this. The other result is, let's see, if the y is 180, which would mean we're facing the other direction. So what this means is do a series of branch checks on the Boolean results from these. So if it equals 0, it's true. And we'll add a couple local variables to track this. Local Boolean is facing right. A 0 result on the y rotator is facing right. And let's see, we'll do return here. We'll add an output for is facing right. And we'll feed it this local variable. So if that's true, we set local is facing right to true. Connect these. And if it's false, we do a second branch check. This is to make sure just not that it's not 0, but that it's that the y is 180 on this. And local is facing right. We'll set this here. If this is true, we'll set local is facing right false, meaning it's facing left. Since this is kind of a binary situation we're looking at here. And we'll connect these outputs there. And this to there. And let's see if I can make this a little cleaner. There we go. Okay, so that should check for the facing the way we want it to. We'll insert our new function getPlayerFacing after player start. Let me just make a little more room here. And a little more room yet. I think we need more room than that. Let's drag it out to there. Okay, so getPlayerFacing. Check the Boolean here. And we'll create another variable for the, we'll call it hit force reaction. This will be an integer. Actually, no, it'll be a float, sorry. Hit force reaction. Direction. It's actually the direction. Okay, so that will be a float. And we'll plug it into force x here. Actually, let's set its default value. Yeah, we're going to set it first. I don't want to lose this value, so I'm going to copy that there and plug in this hit force. Plug in hit force direction here to the force x of the add force. Now I'm just going to give us some more room here to do the output of our Boolean check. If is player facing right is false, the hit force direction is positive, and connect to add force. And if it's is facing right is true, it's a negative force. So let me make that negative 2 million. And then plug this into here. We'll compile and save this. And we'll do a quick test. So we should bounce back in the direction opposite way I'm facing. So I'm facing right now. So you can see I bounce back to the left. If I hit it from the other direction, you can see I bounce back to the right. But you can see my animation still flipping back the opposite direction that I'm facing. So we need to fix that as well. So next we'll look at improving the hit reaction with its facing and adding better indication.